The first family dinner after my parents banned my boyfriend, there was a gap at the table where his plate should have been. It was stupid, but that empty chair made me angrier than anything my parents had said. My mom had set 12 places like always. 1 for her, 1 for my dad, 2 for my grandparents, 4 for my cousins, 1 for my brother and his wife, 1 for me, and then there was the lonely space at the end where Leo's plate used to sit. No fork. No glass. Just a wrinkle in the tablecloth like he'd been erased. Mom caught me looking and said, a little too brightly, I didn't know if you needed that spot, since you're talo tonight. Solo. As if Leo had never spent 3 years helping her carry heavy pans in from the garage or fixing that stupid revolving spice rack she loves. I sat down anyway. My brother Josh strolled in 10 minutes late, kissed his wife Jess on the cheek like he hadn't been flirting with the bartender in front of me last weekend, and took Leo's old seat. Mom laughed. Oh good, we're all here, she said. I looked around. No, I thought. We're really not. But we were here enough to have an audience. And if my parents wanted to pretend to be guardians of morality by banning my bad influence boyfriend, then I was done pretending my brother was anything but what he was. A habitual cheater whose secrets I'd been quietly protecting for years. A secret I decided, in that moment, I was done keeping. I'm Mia. I'm 25 now, but this started when I was 22 and still half convinced I could fix my family by being the good one. In the Alvarez family there have always been 2 roles. Josh the golden boy, May the reliable daughter. Josh is 3 years older. Growing up, he was the loud, charming one. Varsity soccer, senior class treasurer. The kid who could talk a teacher out of a detention with a grin. He also had a talent for finding trouble, sneaking out, drinking, a different girlfriend every semester. My parents' response to this was always the same. Boys will be boys, he'll settle down. When I got an A instead of an A, the reaction was, what happened? You're slipping. That pretty much sums up our dynamic. They worshipped his potential. They expected my perfection. It made sense, in its own twisted way, that when Josh started cheating on serious girlfriends, my parents' main concern wasn't that he was breaking people's hearts. It was that someone might find out. Don't air our dirty laundry, Mom would say. We have a reputation at church. We raised you better than this, Dad would add, but always to me, never to Josh. Because I was the one they expected to mop up. The first time I covered for Josh, I was 16. He was 19, supposedly at a study group. Gesh's then high school girlfriend, later his wife, called the house phone. Is Josh with you? She asked. He said he was, and he's not answering his cell. I looked at the clock. 10:47 p.m. Josh's car wasn't in the driveway. Mom mouthed, who is it? From the couch. Jess, I whispered, covering the receiver. She's asking where Josh is. Mom rolled her eyes. Just tell her he's with you at the library, she said. He probably lost track of time. But he's not, Mia, Dad said sharply. Don't start drama. So I lied. The floodgates opened. Over the next few years, I provided many useful services for my brother. I studied with him when he was actually at a party. I needed help moving a couch when he was taking a weekend trip with a girl our parents didn't know. I dragged him to a movie when he was really at some other girl's apartment. I told myself it was what sisters did. Protect each other. Protect the family. Jess eventually became more than another girlfriend. She and Josh got engaged when he was 22 and she was 21. She was sweet, kind. The kind of person who remembers your exam dates and sends you good luck memes. We'd gone to the same high school. She'd worked at the cafe near campus while I was in college. We'd become friends, which made covering for Josh feel less like team loyalty, more like treason, especially because he did not slow down when they got engaged. If anything, he got sloppier. He'd call me on Friday nights. Hey little sis, if Jess texts, tell her I'm at your place working on that car. You're 23, I'd say. Why are you acting like you're 16? I am doing her a favor, he'd say. You want me to get it out of my system before the wedding, right? That logic made me sick. But when I tried to tell my parents, they brushed it off. Cold feet, Mom said. All men panic before commitment. He adores Jess. Once they're married, you'll see. When you have a husband and kids, you'll understand, Dad said. As if marital vows were some kind of magic switch. They weren't. Spoiler, They are not. But I didn't know how to fight a whole family culture yet. So I kept lying. Even when it chipped away at my respect for Josh. Even when it made it hard to look Jess in the eye. And then I met Leo. And realized there was another way to be. Leo and I met at a friend's game night. He was the guy fixing the broken cable on the TV while everyone else argued about rules. Tattooed forearms. Grease under his nails. Softest eyes I'd ever seen. He worked as a mechanic at his uncle's shop. No degree. No LinkedIn. He could, however, rebuild an engine from scratch and balance a company's books in his head. He listened more than he talked. When he did talk, it was always something worth hearing. We started dating. It was easy. Comfortable. He met my parents after 3 months, when I couldn't stall any longer. I tried to prep him. They're traditional, I said. They care a lot about appearances. He shrugged. I own clean shirts, he said. We'll be fine. We were not fine. To be fair, he looked great. He brought a bottle of decent wine. He complimented Mom's cooking. He laughed at Dad's stories. He even helped carry dishes into the kitchen unasked. But the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees when he mentioned what he did for a living. A mechanic, Dad said, like he'd swallowed a lemon. So, you didn't go to college? Leo shook his head. Trade school, he said. Been working full-time since I was 19. Mom gave a tight smile. That's nice, she said. Josh has his degree in marketing. He's a supervisor at the dealership now. She launched into a monologue about Josh's prospects. Leo nodded politely. Later, in the car, he said, Your parents don't like me. They don't know you yet, I said. But I knew. Because they'd always had a picture in their heads for my future husband. College educated. White collar. Preferably someone Mom could brag about at church. Leo was not that. He was blue collar. Hands dirty. Heart ridiculously clean. The more they got to know him, the colder they got. If he offered to fix something around the house, Dad would say, We'll hire a professional. If he mentioned working late, Mom would sigh and say, That's the problem with those kinds of jobs. No stability. Meanwhile, Jess could show up late to dinner looking exhausted from 12-hour nursing shifts, and they'd treat her like a saint. Such a hard worker, Mom would gush. She's the glue holding that hospital together. The hypocrisy made my eye twitch. It got worse after Jess and Josh's wedding. Which of course was a big church affair. I helped Jess pick her dress. I held her bouquet. I watched Josh get misty-eyed at the altar and thought, maybe naively, maybe this will finally settle him down. For about 6 months, it seemed to. Then the old patterns crept back in. Hey, Mai, can you cover for me Saturday? He texted one afternoon. Telling Jess I'm helping you study. What are you actually doing? I asked. Guys' night at the lake, he wrote. No biggie. Guys' night at the lake turned out to include 2 women I'd never met before. I know because his friend Tyler posted a story and forgot who followed him. When I confronted Josh, he got defensive. Nothing happened, he insisted. We just hung out. With girls, I said. Can't talk to anyone with boobs now? He snapped. Relax. I started to say, Jess would be hurt if she saw this. He cut me off. That's why she won't, he said. Right, sis? I hesitated. My complicity tasted more and more like acid. Leo, of course, saw all of this. He didn't push. But one night, after Josh had asked me for yet another cover story, Leo said, Why do you keep doing that? Doing what? I asked, though I knew. Lying for him, he said. You hate it, I can tell. It's complicated, I said. Is it, he asked. He cheats. You help him hide it. The people he's hurting don't know. That's pretty simple. It's family, I snapped. You don't get it. He looked at me for a long second, then said quietly, maybe not. But I do know that if I ever treated you the way he treats Jess, I'd hope someone would tell you. That stuck in my head. When my parents banned him, it finally clicked into place. The ban didn't happen all at once. It started with tension. We were at my cousin's birthday barbecue. Leo and I were by the grill, talking to Uncle Marco about cars. Josh was a few feet away, flirting too hard with one of Marco's co-workers while Jess was in the house helping my aunt with appetizers. Mom was near the patio, pretending not to watch. Leo nudged me. This okay? He murmured. It's always like this, I said. We watched Josh rest his hand on the coworker's waist. She laughed, leaning in. Leo's jaw clenched. A few minutes later, Jess came out balancing a tray. She saw Josh with the coworker. Her smile faltered. To his credit, he dropped his hand and moved away. Later, Leo cornered him near the cooler. I wasn't close enough to hear everything, but I caught fragments. Disrespectful. Your wife's right there. Grow up, man. Josh's face reddened. He muttered something about mind your own business. Leo didn't back down. We're family now, he said. That is my business. Jess walked up then, sensing the tension. What's going on? She asked. Nothing, Josh said quickly. Just guy talk. Leo looked at me. I gave a tiny shake of my head. Not here. Not like this. He swallowed his anger and walked away. On the drive home, he was quiet. Finally, he said, I don't want to spend time with your family if they're going to pretend this is normal. My parents are old school, I said. They think it's worse to cause a scene than to call out the problem. He laughed bitterly. That's not old school, he said. That's cowardly. I didn't disagree. A week later, the real blow-up happened. It was my dad's birthday dinner. Just immediate family this time. Mom cooked his favorites. Jess and Josh arrived a little late. Leo showed up right on time, carrying a tool set Dad had been eyeing. You didn't have to do that, Dad said, surprised. Figured you'd get more use out of it than another tie, Leo said. Dad chuckled. The mood was actually pleasant for once, until my mom decided to bring up the topic. We were halfway through dessert when she set down her fork and said, So, Leo, have you thought any more about going back to school? Leo blinked. School? He said. College, Dad clarified. You're a smart guy. You could do more than, turning wrenches. Leo's shoulders tensed. I like my job, he said. I run diagnostics, manage orders, talk to customers. It's not just turning wrenches. Mom smiled the way people do when they're about to say something condescending. Of course, she said. But Mia's worked so hard on her degree. It'd be nice if her partner matched her level. Silence. I felt my face heat. Mom, I said. That's rude. She waved a hand. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, she said. It's not like we'd be thrilled if Josh had married someone without ambition either. Actually, you told Jess you were just happy she loved him, I said. Jess looked down at her plate. Josh shifted. Dad cleared his throat. We just want the best for you, he said. I don't want my daughter struggling because her husband can't get a decent job when he's older. Leo set his fork down gently. Sir, he said, voice calm but firm, with all due respect, I make more than Mia does at her entry-level office job. I have savings, I have no debt. I'm not sure what your definition of decent is, but I pay my bills and take care of myself. I'm not a project. Mom's eyes flashed. There's no need to get defensive, she said. You just implied I'm not good enough for your daughter, he replied. That feels like a pretty good reason to defend myself. Josh snorted. Dude, chill, he said. My parents are just looking out for her. They don't mean anything by it. Leo turned to him. Really? He said. Because from where I'm sitting, they're fine with you disrespecting your marriage every other weekend. But I'm the problem because I didn't go to college? The air went electric. Jess's fork froze halfway to her mouth. My parents both went pale. What are you talking about? Mom asked sharply. Leo looked at me. I closed my eyes for a second. This was a line. Cross it, and there was no going back. I opened them. Nothing, I said quickly. He's just upset. Leo stared at me like he didn't recognize me. You're still covering for him, he said quietly. Dad slammed his palm on the table. Enough, he barked. You do not come into my house and accuse my son of whatever you're implying. Leo stood up. I'm not implying anything, he said. I've watched him hit on other women right in front of his wife. I've watched Mia lie for him. If you cared about your family values half as much as you say you do, you'd call him out instead of interrogating me about my resume. Mia, Mom said sharply. Do you have something to add? Everyone's eyes were on me. Jess's especially. Hopeful. My heart pounded. Yes, I said. Then I looked at Leo. I think we should go. His face fell. For real? He said. You're just going to let this please, I whispered. Not like this. Not without. He clenched his jaw. Then nodded. Fine, he said. He looked at my parents. Thanks for dinner, he said, tone icy. We left. In the car, the silence was thick. Finally, he pulled over in a grocery store parking lot and turned off the engine. You had a chance, he said. You could have told the truth. I wasn't going to blow up my brother's marriage at my dad's birthday, I said, voice shaking. So you'll blow up ours instead? He shot back. I blinked. Ours? Mia, I love you, he said. But I can't keep watching you protect him while your family disrespects me for existing. If you're okay with that double standard, we're not on the same team. Tears burned my eyes. I'm not okay with it, I said. I just don't know how to fix it. He softened slightly. You start by telling the truth, he said. Even when it's messy. Especially then. I wiped my face. Give me time, I said. Please, let me do this my way. He studied me. Okay, he said slowly. But know this. If they keep treating me like trash, I won't keep showing up to be their punching bag. Turned out he wouldn't get the chance. They took that decision out of his hands. 2 days later, Mom called. She didn't bother with small talk. I've spoken with your father, she said. We agree that Leo is no longer welcome at family events. My stomach dropped. What? I said. Why, he was disrespectful in our home, she said. Accusing your brother like that. Raising his voice. We will not tolerate that. He was defending himself, I said. After you questioned his worth for 20 minutes. She sniffed. We simply asked about his future plans, she said. If he can't handle that, he's not mature enough for a serious relationship. Josh cheats on his wife, I blurted. Regularly. But Leo's the immature one? She went quiet. When she spoke again, her voice was icy. You will not throw around accusations about your brother, she said. He made mistakes when he was younger. That's over. It's not over, I said. It's just hidden. Because I hide it for him. Because you tell me to. That's enough, she snapped. We are not discussing this. Leo is not invited to Sunday dinners, birthdays, or holidays until he apologizes for his behavior. So you're punishing me too, I said. For having a boyfriend you don't approve of. You're welcome to come without him, she said. This is about boundaries, Mia. We have a standard for this family. The hypocrisy almost made me choke. A standard that allows your married son to hit on other women, I said. Got it. She hung up. I stared at my phone. Then I opened my notes app and wrote one sentence. They banned Leo for calling out hypocrisy, but keep Josh's affairs a secret. Under that, I wrote another. Stop being part of the secret. That became my North Star. The next time Josh called asking for a cover, I was at my desk at work. Mia, you're not going to believe this, he said breathlessly. Last-minute guys trip this weekend. Jess thinks I'm helping you move. Can you back me up? I swiveled in my chair. No, I said. He laughed. No, seriously, he said. I already told her. I'll owe you one. I'm serious, I said. I'm not lying for you anymore. Silence. Since when? He asked. Since Leo got banned for telling the truth, I said. If Mom and Dad care so much about family values, they'll be thrilled I'm upholding them. He swore under his breath. Are you kidding me? He said. You're going to get all moral now? I should have gotten moral years ago, I said. Jess deserves better. You don't know what our marriage is like, he snapped. I know you don't respect it, I said. He took a breath. Fine, he said. I'll cover it myself. Good luck, I said. I meant it. An hour later, Jess texted me. Hey, are you and Josh still doing that sibling weekend? Should I send snacks? I stared at my phone. Old habits tugged at me. One little lie. That's all it would take. Then I remembered Leo's face in the parking lot. And Mom's voice calling him not mature enough. And Josh's hand on that other woman's waist. No, I typed. We're not. Then, before I could overthink it, I added. He told you he was with me? 3 dots. Disappeared. Reappeared. Yeah, she wrote. He said you needed help with your car. Is that not true? My heart pounded. No, I wrote. It's not true. Long pause. Okay, she finally replied. Nothing else. I stared at the screen, feeling like I'd just kicked over a hornet's nest. But also, relieved. Like a weight had shifted from my shoulders to where it actually belonged. On Josh's. Over the next few weeks, small cracks appeared. Jess called me more. Not directly about Josh. Just little things. How's work? Do you like your new apartment? Have you seen the show? Then gently, was Josh with you last Thursday night? No, I said. Has he ever asked you to cover for him? She asked. My throat tightened. Yes, I said. She inhaled sharply. How many times? She whispered. Too many, I said. And I'm so sorry. There was a long silence. Then she said, very quietly, thank you for finally telling me. I cried after that call. Not because I regretted it. Because I should have done it sooner. Because all that time I thought I was protecting the family, I was really just protecting Josh from consequences. And enabling him to hurt someone who didn't deserve it. Meanwhile, Leo was on the outside, banned for daring to point out what everyone else pretended not to see. That's when the anger started shifting from guilt-tinged to clean. Fuel for action. My parents noticed, of course. When Josh complained, they called. Jess says you told her Josh wasn't with you, Mom said, outraged. Why would you stir the pot like that? Because he wasn't with me, I said. You wanted me to be honest, right? That's your standard? You could have just said you didn't know, she snapped. I did know, I said. I knew he was lying. I chose not to help him do it. Dad grabbed the phone. You're tearing this family apart, he said. No, I said calmly. Josh is tearing his marriage apart. I'm just refusing to superglue it for him anymore. You're choosing your boyfriend over your brother, Dad said. No, I said again. I'm choosing the truth over lies. Leo was just the first person brave enough to say it in front of you. They didn't have a good answer for that. So they fell back on their favorite weapon. Guilt. After everything we've done for you, Mom said. We put a roof over your head, paid for your school, and I appreciate that, I cut in. I really do. But I don't owe you my integrity as interest. She gasped like I'd slapped her. We'll talk when you've calmed down, she said. She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, heart racing, fingers shaking. Then I called Leo. I told him everything. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I'm proud of you. I feel like a traitor, I said. You're loyal to the wrong person, he said. But you're loyal. That matters. He paused. And for what it's worth, he added, whether your family ever lets me back into their house or not, I'm not going anywhere. My chest hurt in a good way. Thank you, I whispered. The real bang came 6 weeks later, at that dinner with the empty chair. By then, Jess had confronted Josh. He'd admitted to a few mistakes. She'd moved back into her parents' house for some space. My parents were furious. At me. Not him. You put ideas in her head, Mom said. Marriages go through rough patches. You don't just run home to Mommy. She ran because her husband cheated, I said. Repeatedly. And I lied for him. That's on me. I'm trying to fix it. You're trying to destroy your brother, Dad said. Jess, for her part, was oddly calm. She texted me. I need time to figure out if this is salvageable. But I'm glad I know the truth now. Please don't feel guilty for telling me. She came to family dinners less. The mood when she did was tense. My parents treated her like a broken appliance they wanted to tape back together and pretend was fine. Josh alternated between sulking and love-bombing her. He'd show up with flowers. Make grand speeches about starting fresh. She'd smile politely. My role shifted from silent accomplice to awkwardly honest intin-waiting. And Leo? Still banned. Mom had made it clear. Until he apologizes, he's not welcome here. Apologize for what? For not having a degree? For pointing out their double standard? He refused. Rightly. So I showed up alone. Every time I looked at that empty seat, my resentment toward my parents grew. They'd rather punish the guy who held me while I cried over their dysfunction than the son who'd blown up his marriage. At that dinner, something in me snapped. It started small. With prayer. Dad did the usual pre-meal blessing. Lord, we thank you for this food, for family, for second chances, he said. We pray you guide Josh and Jess back to each other and help us support them in this difficult time. Amen. Amen, everyone murmured. We started passing dishes. Josh asked me to hand him the salad. You know, if you and Leo ever get married, Mom said conversationally, I hope you're smarter about your choices. Affairs are never worth it. I put the salad bowl down a little too hard. Funny, I said. I was thinking the same thing. She frowned. What's that supposed to mean? She asked. It means, I said, voice steady, that maybe if you'd held Josh to the same standard you're demanding from me, we wouldn't be in this mess. Dad bristled. This is not the time, he began. No, I said. It's exactly the time. You banned Leo from this table because he called out what everyone here knew. You still haven't asked Josh for an apology, for Jess, for me. For all the years you made me lie. Josh's face reddened. You're being dramatic, he said. We're working on it. Are you? I asked, because I saw your Tinder profile 2 days ago. The room went silent. Jess's fork clinked onto her plate. What? She whispered. Everyone stared at Josh. He glared at me. You're stalking me now? He snapped. No, I said. Your profile came up on my coworker's phone while we were swiping at lunch. You used a picture from Mom's barbecue. Real subtle. Mom gasped. Is that true? She asked him. He shifted. It's just an old account, he said. I forgot to delete it. I'm not using it. What about the messages? I said. From last week? I pulled out my phone. Opened the screenshots my coworker had sent me, partly in disbelief, partly as gossip. Up for drinks Friday? Wife doesn't have to know. I read aloud. Dad slammed his hand on the table. Enough, he shouted. We are not discussing private matters at dinner. I met his gaze. That's the problem, I said quietly. You never discuss them. You bury them. You make me bury them. Not anymore. I turned to Jess. I'm so sorry, I said. You deserve to find someone who chooses you every day. Not someone who thinks vows are suggestions. Joyless laughter burst out of me. Honestly, my parents banning Leo was the best thing they could have done for you, I added. It finally made me choose what kind of person I want to be. I choose not to lie for cheaters. Jess looked at me, then at Josh. Tears filled her eyes. Without a word, she stood up, grabbed her purse, and walked out. Josh went after her. Jess, wait, he said. We can talk. The door slammed. Mom turned to me, face flushed with fury. How dare you, she said. In my house. At my table. I set my fork down gently. How dare you, I replied. Demand honesty from my boyfriend while rewarding your son's lies. Call it whatever you want, respect, tradition, family, but it's hypocrisy. And I'm done participating. Dad's jaw worked. You're not welcome here if you're going to cause scenes like this, he said. I nodded. I figured you'd say that, I said. Good thing home doesn't have to be this house anymore. I stood up, grabbed my coat. As I reached the door, I paused. By the way, I said over my shoulder. Leo says hi. He's making enchiladas tonight. I'm going to go eat with someone who actually walks their talk. Then I left. The blast of cold air outside felt cleansing. I half expected my phone to explode that night. Angry texts, voicemails. Instead, there was a simple, furious message from Mom. You embarrassed us. Don't come over until you're ready to apologize. No word from Dad. Nothing from Josh. Jess texted me though. Thank you, again. I replied. For finally valuing the truth more than keeping the peace, she wrote. It hurts. But it would have hurt worse 10 years from now. What are you going to do? I asked. Talk to a lawyer, she replied. And a therapist. Not necessarily in that order. I smiled sadly. Let me know if you need anything, I wrote. A place to stay. Someone to help you move, whatever. I might take you up on that, she said. She did. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my apartment with 2 suitcases and a look of exhausted determination. Leo and I turned the second bedroom into a temporary guest room. For the first time, the 3 of us had dinner together without the shadow of secrets hanging over us. Jess looked around at the cluttered living room, the mismatched furniture, the warm chaos of our little life. This feels more like family than their house ever has, she said quietly. I squeezed her hand. Welcome home, I said. My parents held out for about a month. Then Dad called. His voice was less angry, more tired. We miss you, he said gruffly. You miss controlling me, I replied. Don't be like that, he said. Your mother hasn't slept. Has Josh apologized yet? I asked. Silence. He's going through a lot, Dad hedged. So is Jess, I said. So am I. So is Leo. I'm not coming back to pretend everything's fine while you still treat him like the golden boy and ban my boyfriend for having a spine. What do you want from us? He asked. I took a deep breath. An actual conversation, I said. With all of us. No yelling. No boys will be boys. No demanding I lie. And Leo at the table if I'm at the table. That's a lot, he said. Honesty is a lot, I said. That's kind of the point. Will, think about it, he said. Okay, I said. I've got nothing but time. We hung up. It took them 3 more months to think about it. In that time, Jess filed for separation. Josh tried the usual cycle, crying, promising therapy, sending long emails about becoming a better man. She told him to work on that on his own. She stayed in our guest room, picked up shifts at the hospital, and slowly found her feet again. Leo remained banned. We remained together. It was almost peaceful. Then one Sunday, Mom texted, "Dinner next week. You and Leo are invited. We want to talk." My stomach flipped. "Do you want to go?" Leo asked when I showed him. "Yes," I said. "But only if you do." He thought for a moment. "I do," he said. "On one condition." "What?" I asked. "That we have an exit plan," he said. "If they start up with the same old stuff, we leave." "Together, deal," I said. Walking into my parents' house with Leo again felt like stepping into a parallel universe. The same smells. The same framed photos on the wall. But the air felt different, quieter. Josh wasn't there. Jess wasn't either. Just my parents, sitting at the dining table with coffee mugs in front of them like they'd been rehearsing this. Mom stood up. "Leo," she said. "Thank you for coming." He nodded. "Thanks for inviting me," he said. "Wasn't sure that would ever happen again." Dad gestured for us to sit. For a while we just small talk. Work. Then Dad set his fork down. "We owe you both an apology," he said, staring at his plate. I blinked. Mom cleared her throat. "We let a lot of things slide with Josh that we shouldn't have," she said. "We told ourselves we were protecting the family. Really, we were just protecting our pride." She looked at Leo. "And we took that out on you," she said. "Because you weren't what we pictured. Because you told us things we didn't want to hear. That wasn't fair." Leo shifted. "I appreciate you saying that," he said. Dad sighed. "I still don't understand your generation sometimes," he said. "Everything on social media. No privacy. But I understand that we can't ask for honesty while rewarding lies. That's on us." He turned to me. "And asking you to cover for your brother all those years," he said. "That was wrong. We put you in an impossible position." Emotion caught in my throat. I hadn't realized how much I'd needed to hear that. "Thank you," I managed. Mom wiped her eyes. "We lost Jess," she said softly. "I don't want to lose you too." "That's up to how you treat me," I said. "And Leo. And any future partners Josh has. Or I have. We can't go back to pretending problems don't exist." She nodded. It wasn't a perfect fix. It wasn't a movie monologue with swelling music. But it was something. An opening. After dinner, as Leo and I drove home, he squeezed my hand. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Lighter," I said. "Still cautious, but lighter." He smiled. "Worth it?" he asked. "Every uncomfortable second," I said. Jess eventually finalized the divorce. She moved into her own apartment, but we still have weekly dinners. Josh is in therapy, supposedly. He and I are cordial, not close. I don't cover for him. I don't check up on him either. He knows that if he ever gets into another relationship and tries his old tricks, I won't be his alibi. He jokes sometimes, "Don't tell Mia, she'll narc on me." I respond, "If you're not doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to worry about." He doesn't like that. But he respects it. In a weird way, our relationship is more honest now. We don't pretend to be something we're not. We're siblings, not co-conspirators. My parents still have their moments. Mom occasionally slips and says something like, "Are you sure you don't want someone more ambitious?" I raise an eyebrow and say, "Ambition doesn't keep you from swiping on Tinder when your wife's at work." She shuts up. Dad sometimes makes passive-aggressive comments about people airing family business. I remind him that hiding it almost cost them their daughters. He mutters fair and changes the subject. Leo and I? We're solid. He didn't propose at anyone's graduation. He did, however, ask me one quiet Sunday morning on our couch, with my favorite show paused and a ring he'd carefully saved up for in a simple box. No audience. No drama. Just us. When we told my parents, They didn't stand up and scream in the middle of someone else's moment. They hugged us. They congratulated him. Dad even clapped him on the back and said, "Welcome to the circus." Leo grinned. "Already got my ticket," he said. Do I regret the way everything went down? Sometimes, when I think about Jess crying in our guest room. Or about the way my mom's voice shook when she realized her golden boy wasn't so golden. There was a lot of hurt. A lot of broken illusions. But then I remember all the times I'd get my tongue. All the nights I lied for Josh and then lay awake, heart pounding, imagining Jess finding out years later and asking, "You knew? And you said nothing?" I remember Leo standing in my parents' kitchen defending me and Jess while they picked his life apart. I remember my dad setting an extra plate at the table for my brother's mistress-to-be while removing the one for my actual partner. And I know this. Continuing to cover would have broken me more slowly, but more completely, than one explosive dinner ever could. My parents banned my boyfriend from family events because he made them look at something ugly. So I stopped helping them hide the ugliest thing in our family. My brother's affairs. I didn't hack his accounts. I didn't plaster his texts on Facebook. I just stopped lying. Stopped being the buffer between his choices and their consequences. And once I stepped out of the way, the truth did what it always does when you stop suffocating it. It changed things. Not instantly. Not perfectly. But enough. Enough that now, when I sit down at my parents' table, there's no empty chair where Leo should be. No expectation that I'll patch holes in my brother's life. No unspoken rule that preserving image matters more than doing right by the people we say we love. Just plates. And a little more honesty than there used to be. It's not a perfect family. But for the first time, it feels like one I can actually be part of, with both eyes open.